Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. As usual, let us start with the snippets. The very first one, fiscal autonomy. There are two words over here. One is fiscal, the other one autonomy. Fiscal is related to monetary aspects, financial, fiscal policy. Fiscal means related to money matters. Autonomy, autonomous means being independent, not being controlled by anyone or anything. Hike states' share of central funds. Here we have hike, one word, states, very important. What is the reason? Good morning to all of you. Hike means to increase, that is one thing. But when you use a word hiking, from hike you get ing form. What is the ing form? Hiking. Hiking, the meaning changes. As a verb, hike means to increase, but hiking means to take a long walk. In lowland areas, you go for a long walk, that is called hiking. But mountain region, you go for a long walk, that is known as trekking. Hiking and trekking, you have to recollect. And states, why is this important? Here we have a plural noun. State singular, states plural. Whenever plural noun ends in the letter S, we should add S or E, we should add the apostrophe after the letter S. I repeat, whenever there is a plural noun that ends in the letter S, we should use the apostrophe after the letter S, not before. You can also use spike. Share of central funds, Stalin. So this snippet talks about, today, if you take Indian polity, Indian constitution, certain powers go with the center, certain powers go with the states. Actually, the tilt is in favor of the center. And because it is neither unitary, unitary means the center has the powers, and federal means the states have the powers. No, not one and the same. Quasi-federal, not quasi. Quasi-federal. Based on that, the states are always at the receiving end, and the center is always at the giving end. So the states request the center to release the funds. This is the backdrop information. Based on the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister requested the center to hike the state share of central funds. That's how you have to look at it. Let us go to the next snippet. Turmoil in France. There's one word. We have got this many a time, but generally it goes with what is a combination word. We say political turmoil. Turmoil means a disturbance. Some sort of disturbance, we say turmoil. And political disturbance, the typical combination, we say political turmoil. Political disturbance in France. Macron seeks new PM after collapse of government. There are two words over here you have to focus on. One is seeks. You all know the word. We have got many a time. It goes with you people. You guys are seeking a job. Job seekers. To look for, to search for. And what is the other word here? Collapse. Usually the word collapse goes with buildings. The building collapsed. But sometimes a particular government collapses, we use that combination as well. Collapse of the government. Two words, and this talks about the political disturbance, the turmoil in France. Based on that, Macron seeks, he had to resign. He seeks new PM after collapse of government. Another stalemate. Gukesh and Ding in 6th straight draw. Every day we see this. The matches have been going on, I think, for the 6th time. Draw. It talks about that. All are easy words. LAC agreements. A slow return to normalcy. India and China must engage. Here we have a word. Must. Must engage at all levels to resolve disputes. Must we have got many a time. the model or the helping verb. What does it mean? What are the functions? One function, it is used to express a personal obligation imposed by the writer or the speaker. In this context, by the writer. And also, when it comes to the second function, it is used to convey the idea something is compulsory. Normalcy means coming to the normal state, very simple, without any disturbance, without any violence, normal state, normalcy. At all levels is a phrase, important phrase, to resolve disputes. Resolve means to find a solution. Resolve goes with problems, disputes, discords, all these. Let us go to the next one. New report, Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, Amnesty organization, and it says Israel is committing something in Gaza. What is that? Genocide. This is an important word. Genocide we have got a few times, and why is it important? There is a suffix. What is the suffix here? Side. And when you see the suffix side, it means to kill. You have to recollect other words that go with the same suffix, like suicide, patricide, matricide, fratricide, infanticide, feticide, insecticide, pesticide, genocide. All these words you have to recollect. An important one, very pathetic situation over there. Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, Amnesty. This is a main headline on the front page of today's The Hindu. Uproar in House over Hindi Sanskrit names for new bills. Uproar is an important word. Usually when you read the newspapers, you understand. There was an uproar in the Parliament. There was an uproar in Lok Sabha. Uproar means noisy protest. That's an important word and they use quite often. Commotion, uproar, protest, chaotic situation, all these words you have to think of. Uproar regarding what? Uproar in House over Hindi Sanskrit names for new bills. Usually new bills, we use the regular practice using English names. But now for the new bills, Hindi and Sanskrit names are being used. Against that, a protest. Uproar in the House. Opposition targets government, alleges Hindi imposition. Allege, allegation. Say something, someone has done something wrong without proof or evidence. And here there is one important word, impose. From the verb impose we get imposition. Imposition. Impose means to force upon. Generally we say, don't impose your ideas on others. That you have to recollect. Look at this. Centre defends the move as a reflection of Indian culture, legacy. On the other hand, YSRCP MP S. Niranjan Reddy says the constitution opposes Hindi title for a bill whose content is in English. Imagine the content of the bill is in English, then the constitution says, it seems, we should not use a Hindi name for that particular bill because the content is in English. We have a pic over here. Fadnavis back as Maharashtra CM for the third time. Eknath Shinde, Devendra Fadnavis and Ajit Pawar during the swearing-in ceremony on Thursday. Back as Maharashtra CM for the third time. Something went wrong. Anyhow, that's all. What time is it? Almost 10 minutes over. That's all from the headlines. Now let us go to today's editorial. As usual, we ask the question, what is enrichment? Enrichment, you will improve your reading comprehension skill, your contextual awareness, effective vocabulary, and you can consolidate your grammar knowledge. Besides all these, you get a chance to work on mini mocks, and the questions are based on exam topics, the current exam topics. That way, it is going to be very useful. Let us see we start with the vocabulary. Some important words are there. Today's editorial is all about the bilateral ties between India and China and bringing back normalcy at the border, especially line of actual control. Based on that, the writer has used about 3 or 4 foreign expressions. They're very important and also legal terms. What is the first one? Suo motu. Suo motu, part of speech, it can be adverb, it can be adjective. It's a legal term, as I've just said, meaning on its own motion. To provide the backdrop information to make you understand, usually what happens, I'm not happy with something or someone. I file a case. If you take a court, someone has to file a case. Then the whole process is known as trial and the entire procedure goes on. But sometimes something happens in the society, no one files a case, and the court considers that and initiates the trial. Then it is known as suo motu, the regular thing. But here it goes with the parliament. Before someone demanding, the government has given statements regarding the bringing back normalcy at the border between India and China. Based on that, this word has been used. Suo motu, on its own motion. An action taken by a court or authority without a formal request, means without filing a case from another party. No one files a case, but the court initiates the legal procedure. Then we say the court has accepted, considered that suo motu. Example, the court took suo motu cognizance. Cognizance, an important word. It goes with thinking, cognizant, cognizance, being aware of, related to your thinking. Cognizant offense, we also say. Of the environmental violations. Someone must have violated environmental laws, and based on that, the court has taken that particular act against that suo motu and initiated the legal procedure. Synonyms, voluntarily, on its own initiative. Antonyms, by request, on application, filing a case. Transgression. Transgression, what does it mean? Part of speech, obviously noun, meaning an act that goes against a law, a rule, or code of conduct, an offense, simply. Transgression means violating law, an offense. Example, the soldiers were punished for their transgression of military protocol. Protocol is an important word, I'm sure many of you know. Protocol means official procedures. Imagine the president visits a particular state. The chief minister of that particular state has to receive the president and has to provide a red carpet welcome. That is part of official procedure. Then we say, according to the protocol, the chief minister of that particular state has to receive the president of the country. That comes under official procedure, protocol. Here, the soldiers were punished for their transgression of military protocol. Soldiers, they need to follow certain things, and because they are part of the military, once they violate the rules or regulations that go with military, that comes under transgression, and obviously they will be punished. Synonyms, violation, infringement, breach. Breach, I've told many a time, it has two different meanings. One, it means a crack. You take a cement structure, there's a crack, we say there's a breach. But another meaning of the word breach, what does it mean? It means violation of law, contract, anything, agreement, breach of law. Antonyms, compliance, comply, an important word. You have to recollect. It takes a preposition, comply with. Comply is a verb. What is a noun form? Compliance. You should also recollect the word, as I have given already, but you have to know the prepositional combination. Adherence is the noun form. What is a verb form? Adhere. And we say it takes a preposition to. Adhere to rules and regulations, adhere to law. That you have to know. Contingent, and we also use a term like contingency fund. You all have to know that. Are you guys aware of that? Contingency fund. What does it mean? First, let us see the meaning of the word contingent. Part of speech adjective. Meaning, dependent on certain conditions or circumstances, subject to chance. Something like you keep some fund separately and you call it contingency fund. What does it mean? That fund is to meet any unforeseen incident. Unforeseen. Very good. You guys know that. I appreciate your response. Unforeseen incidents and emergency, crisis. That time we use this particular word. Example. The success of the plan is contingent upon timely approval from the board. Depends on timely approval from the board. Synonyms: conditional, dependent, possible. Generally we use in the sense of possible negative incident, then we use this contingency. Antonyms: certain, independent, definite. Simple words. Euphemism, we have got many a time. Buffer stock also you can say. Euphemism means what? Part of speech, noun, obviously. A mild or indirect word or expression used to replace one considered too harsh or blunt. Something sounds very harsh. You don't want to say that because it sounds harsh, but the same meaning you try to say it in a nice way. That is known as euphemism. For example, if I say he died, it sounds very harsh. Instead of that, I say he passed away. That sounds better. He passed away, euphemism. Example, passed away is a common euphemism for died. See, example also says the same thing. Died sounds harsh. Passed away sounds better. Polite term, understatement, substitute. Dysphemism, an important word we got for the first time. Bluntness, harshness also you can say. Casus belli. Casus belli, foreign expression, we have got for the first time. Part of speech, noun. An act or situation provoking or justifying war. Casus belli means what? Some act provoking or justifying war. An act or situation provoking or justifying war. Example, the border incursion was seen as casus belli by the neighboring country. Means provoking in a way. Synonyms: cause of war, justification for conflict. Antonyms: peaceful resolution, accord. Accord is an important word. Status quo ante. We have got many a time status quo, means same situation, but status quo ante. A-N-T-E means what? Before. Based on that, this is noun Latin phrase. Meaning, the previously existing state of affairs, the way things were before. Ante means before. Status quo, no change, but before something. The treaty aimed to restore the status quo ante after the conflict. Restore the original situation before the conflict. Then we use this one, status quo ante. Previous state, original condition. Easy to understand. Current state, new condition. That's all about the editorial vocabulary. Now let us go to the analysis of today's editorial from the Hindu paper. And this is all about bilateral ties between India and China, especially along the border, related to line of actual control or the border. How does it start? A slow return. Here, a slow return to normalcy along the border. On border tensions and India-China ties, as I said. Entire editorial deals with the border and ties between India and China. Slow return to normalcy, you have to understand that way. But what is the main idea of this editorial? India and China must engage intensely. Must engage. How? Intensely. Intensely means deeply. Part of speech, adverb. And in how and where. How means intensely. Where? At all levels. At all levels, an important phrase you have to remember. Why should they do that? Why should they engage intensely at all levels? What is the purpose, reason behind to resolve border disputes? What is the reason to resolve, to find a solution related to border disputes? Based on the word dispute, you have to recollect two synonyms. Many of our students know. Cause of dispute, what is the idiom? You have to recollect two idioms. Cause of dispute, what are the two idioms? One is bone of contention. What is the other one? Apple of discord. Both you have to recollect. How does it start and how does it go? The government's decision to offer statements on China suo motu in both houses of parliament and to brief a parliamentary panel are positive. Something is positive. Two or three acts, positive. Very good. Apple of discord. Bone of contention also you have to recollect. Shreya and Murli, and also difficult to make out. Jayalakshmi also. The government's decision to offer statements on China suo motu in both houses of parliament, first thing, and to brief a parliamentary panel, second thing, because two things are there, are positive, but long overdue steps. Contrasting word. Something is positive but has been delayed. Something has been delayed, though positive. For that the writer says, but long overdue steps. They should have done it already long back. Since 2020, following the Chinese transgression, it was initiated by China based on that Chinese transgression. Since 2020, following the Chinese transgression along the line of actual control and the deadly Galwan clashes, it has avoided diverging details. It means the government has avoided, present perfect active voice, avoided what? Diverging details. Diverge, we have got many a time. What does it mean? Disclose, reveal, make public, unveil. Perhaps they did not want to do that. Now for the first time it has disclosed. It has avoided diverging details of the negotiations with China over the actions of the People's Liberation Army, PLA. Only announcing agreements on disengagement at 6 points of friction as occurred in 2021, 2022 and 2024. The sentence says government has avoided disclosing the facts for some reason unknown. I have just said disclose, make public. I have given so many words, Naveen. Disclose, reveal, divulge, make public, unveil. All these words I have said. In a democracy, the people must not be kept in the dark. Democracy, everything should be open, transparent. Based on that, the writer says, in a democracy, the people must not be kept. It is in passive voice, in the dark. That is an idiomatic expression. Don't keep me in the dark means what? Inform me. Don't hide information from me. He has been kept in the dark means what? He hasn't been informed. Must not be kept is passive voice, in the dark on matters of national interest. But the statements by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and the briefing by Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri appear to have been substantial. Two persons, one External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, their statements, and the other one, and the briefing by Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri appear to have been substantial. Appear to be substantial active voice. Appear to have been substantial passive voice. Substantial means considerable. Mr. Jaishankar focused on three aspects of the LAC negotiations. He said, India has made it clear to China that normal engagement in other parts of the relationship were contingent on the LAC tensions being resolved. Other areas also we have problems. To resolve those, first we have to focus on, we have to deal with contingent on means it depends on the LAC tensions being resolved. First LAC tensions have to be resolved, then it is contingent, it is like a condition. Then we can think of other areas where we have tensions. India has adopted a policy of continuous engagement and a step-by-step approach involving 17 meetings of the Working Mechanism for Consultation and Coordination on India-China Border Affairs, 21 meetings of the Senior Highest Military Commanders Meeting Mechanism. A lengthy sentence, incomplete, but it says the steps taken by the Indian government and the number of meetings. Certain things related to certain things, 17 meetings. And also other things, 21 meetings of the Senior Highest Military Commanders Meeting Mechanism, and several meetings between the foreign and defense ministers and special representatives of both countries. The sentence talks about the initiatives taken by the Indian government, the number of meetings, at what levels, and how many times. Sentence throws light on that. Finally, he said that with disengagement fully achieved, the next priorities would be troop de-escalation and de-induction, followed by a discussion on how to manage ties in the border areas, given the problems in the last few years. First thing is what he said, that disengagement fully achieved. Once disengagement fully achieved, what are the other steps to be followed? Further steps. This sentence throws light on that. Fully achieved. The next priorities, what are the priorities after this? Would be to troop de-escalation, troop de-escalation and de-induction. Induction, an important word. Tomorrow you get the job. You go to a bank or a particular government office, the first day someone receives you and introduces your colleagues and talks about your responsibilities, makes you part of the organization. The whole thing is called induction. Have you heard of this word any time? Please respond. Followed by a discussion on how to manage ties in the border areas, given the problems in the last few years. How to manage the border ties in the border. Mr. Jaishankar said that for Depsang and Demchok, patrolling arrangements had been agreed upon. Patrol also, you can say the shift has to be not the first syllabus, the second syllabus. Patrol. The shift has to be changed. Oh, you have heard of that. Very good. Arrangements means what? Going around to check if everything is normal. Had been agreed upon. This is in past perfect passive voice. Had been agreed upon, but the resumption of patrols is still underway. Though they have agreed, they haven't resumed. Resume verb. What is a noun form? Resumption. It is underway, means going on. For the other areas of North and South Pangong So Lake, Gogra and Hot Springs, disengagement had been achieved. Certain areas, disengagement has been achieved. Through steps of a temporary and limited nature, a euphemism for LAC buffer zones. Temporary steps of a temporary and limited nature, this expression is a euphemism for LAC buffer zones. But the government's nearly 2,500 word statement gave no indication of the causes belli for the Chinese actions, nor any reference to when the return to status quo ante or to positions of 2020 can be expected. Here the editorial is criticizing the government, certain lapses or something is not clear. Two things. One, but the government's nearly 2,500 word statement gave no indication of the causes belli, why Chinese provoked and how can they justify for the Chinese actions, nor any reference to when the return to status quo ante means a previous original situation. When can it be expected? Status quo ante or to positions of 2020 can be expected. That is not, there is no clarity regarding that. We can expect something, active voice. Something can be expected, passive voice. The statement laid stress, an important word. You should always, it has been quite some time, lie as an irregular verb. What do we say? What are the forms? Lie, lay, lain. And we have another verb. What is it? Lay. What is the past form? Laid. Past participle also laid. Lie can be a noun, lie can be a regular verb. Lie, lied, lied. But it is important from the exam point of view as an irregular verb. As an irregular verb, lie, lay, lain. It has two meanings. One meaning, to be in the horizontal position while relaxing. Another meaning, to be in a particular state for a long time. Then we have another verb. Lay, laid, laid means what? To put something down. It goes with rules and regulations, foundation stone, eggs, things, and also roads. And these two are very important from the exam point of view. The statement laid stress on India's national security interest being upheld without mentioning India's territorial integrity at any point. There are two things. One is territorial integrity, the other one, national security interest. What the writer is trying to convey, the statement talks about upholding national security interests, but nowhere the statement talks about territorial integrity at any point. In a way, it is like, why should it be that way? Based on that, the government must now expedite efforts to build. Expedite, we have got many a time. What does it mean? Speed up, accelerate. The government now must expedite efforts to build a common understanding of the LAC and to demarcate the boundary. It is important to tell the nation about the nearly 20 Modi-Ji meetings prior to 2020, in spite of which the PLA acted the way it did. Means it resorted to provocation or transgression. The past few years should have demonstrated to the doves and hawks in the India's establishment that such an intensive engagement is no guarantor of peace. A little complicated here, but let me explain. Previous sentence talks about 20 meetings between the Prime Minister and the main person, Chinese, his counterpart. In spite of 20 meetings, why the PLA acted the way it did? Why did it resort to transgression? That is a question. Second thing, the past few years should have demonstrated. There is an important pattern here. Should have demonstrated. You should have done it. You should have gone there. What is the function of this pattern? It is used to express an unfulfilled duty or a neglected action. Demonstrated to the doves and hawks in India's establishment that such an intensive engagement is no guarantor of peace. Though they have met so many times, Chinese PLA resorted to transgression. So these talks no guarantee regarding peace. They do not make the right impact. We should take that way. Nor can conflicts be resolved without the kind of intense and continuous engagement that New Delhi and Beijing have sustained in the past few years. Answer should be yes. We can resolve, but there should be one thing, intense and continuous engagement that New Delhi and Beijing have sustained, means maintained in the past few years. In a way, it is possible we can do that. But it's a question. Can conflicts be resolved without the kind of, now they have resolved with what? With these. The editorial questions, can we resolve without these continuous engagement or the talks, all these things? It's an open question. That's all from the editorial. Let us go to questions based on comprehension skill. Try to answer these questions. I'm not quite sure. I will let you know tomorrow. Doves and I don't want to guess. I will let you know tomorrow. Continuum, no. You have to compare continuous and continual. Continuous going on for some time. Continual means happening at regular intervals, a different meaning altogether. Jagdish. What significant shift in the Indian government's approach towards communicating about India-China relations is highlighted in the editorial? What has been highlighted? Strengthening military presence along the LAC, issuing suo motu statements in Parliament and briefing a parliamentary panel. Explicit information mentioned in the editorial. According to the editorial, what has India linked to the normalization of broader India-China relations? Disengagement in North and South Pangong Tso, resolution of LAC tensions, military de-escalation in Depsang and Demchok, a return to the pre-2020 status quo. Normalization related to what? Disengagement in North and South Pangong Tso. It also talks about military de-escalation, that is at a later stage. Answer should be A is the answer, not C. Military, that's what I said. Either A or C. I feel answer is A. Disengagement has been achieved. Editorial talks about achieving something. Achieved what? Not de-escalation. Achieved disengagement. This is a key word. What does the editorial suggest about the agreements on the disengagement achieved in some areas of the LAC? They completely resolved all issues along the LAC. They involve temporary and limited measures such as creating buffer zones. They are a permanent solution to the border dispute. They resulted in the complete withdrawal of troops from both sides. No. Based on this, they have used the word euphemism also. What is the answer for the third one? They involve temporary and limited measures such as creating buffer zones. It should be B, yes. What criticism does the editorial level at the government statement regarding India-China relations? Editorial criticizes which particular aspect? It focused too much on territorial integrity instead of national security. No. It provided no details on the reasons for China's actions or a timeline for returning to the pre-2020 status quo. Clearly mentioned. Buffer zones. Answer is B. How does the editorial describe the government's response to the public's demand for transparency? Timely and detailed? No. Long overdue but substantial. Long overdue but substantial. Substantial means what? Considerable. But long overdue. Same wording has been used in the editorial. Now we have questions based on exam topics. First one deals with fillers. Choose the correct option to fill in the blank. The resolution of 2022 was deemed historic as it gave that the world was unanimous on addressing plastic pollution. All these questions are based on yesterday's editorial. You can consolidate whatever you learned yesterday. At the same time, you can practice exam topics. Gave the what? Historic as it gave the evidence? No. Assumption? No. Verdict? No. The resolution of 2022 was deemed historic as it gave the impression that the world was unanimous on addressing plastic pollution. But the world, yesterday's editorial says, European countries and Pacific Ocean nation states have a different view. Developing countries a different view. Impression is the right word. Select the synonym, the word closest in meaning to indispensability. Indispensable, From that you get indispensability. What is a synonym? Necessity, fragility, redundancy, flexibility. Indispensable means essential. What is the other word for essential? Necessary, necessity. Yes. A is the answer. Antonyms. Choose the option that is opposite in meaning to indestructibility as used in the passage. Something is indestructible means what? Invincible, cannot be defeated. They want the opposite. It cannot be sustainability, durability, resilience. In a way, they are related to that. They want the opposite. Based on that, what is the answer? Vulnerability is the answer. Word usage. In which sentence is the word seep used incorrectly? That means what? You have 4 options. 1 option not used properly. 3 options used correctly. You have to identify the sentence where it is used incorrectly. The dye began to seep into the fabric, changing its color, nothing wrong. The news started to seep through the town quickly, nothing wrong. The company's profits seeped out to competitors due to poor strategy. This is. The plastic waste will seep into marine life over time. The company's profits cannot seep out to competitors due to poor strategy. That doesn't make any sense. Answer is C. Incorrectly used. Error location. There is a sentence. Identify the part of the sentence that contains an error. Despite its usefulness, plastic's significant role in enabling consumption must be reconsidered. Here we have B is the answer. What is the reason? Plastic's significant role. We have to use the apostrophe. Plastic apostrophe, yes. Then it is correct. We cannot say plastics. Plastics you can say, but you have to use plastic apostrophe, yes, because it talks about the possessive aspect, possession. Plastic apostrophe, yes, significant role. Phrase replacement. Replace the phrase in quotes with the most suitable option. The claim that better recycling and reuse will redeem the situation, these nations believe, is a pipe dream. You have to find out the better, phrase replacement, similar meaning, a pipe dream. Is an optimistic approach, is an unrealistic hope, hold that one, viable solution, guaranteed success, no. Pipe dream means what? Unrealistic hope. They may expect something, it may not happen. Then we say it's a pipe dream. Not practical, not pragmatic, may not happen. Chances are bleak. Yes, answer is B. That's all for today. I hope you guys have got enriched. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.